Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. If a man is working toward a predetermined goal and knows where he's going, that man is a success. If he's not doing that, he's a failure. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Rollo May, the distinguished psychiatrist, wrote a wonderful book called Man's Search for Himself. And in this book, he says, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it is conformity. And there you have the trouble today. It's conformity. People acting like everyone else, without knowing why, without knowing where they're going. Now think of it. In America right now, there are over 14 million people 65 years of age and over, and about 13 million of these 14 million are broke. They're dependent on someone else for life's necessities. Now, we learn to read by the time we're 7. We learn to make a living by the time we're 25. Usually, by that time, we're not only making a living, we're supporting a family. And yet, by the time we're 65, we haven't learned how to become financially independent in the richest land that has ever been known. Why? We conform. And the trouble is that we're acting like the wrong percentage group, the 95% who don't succeed. Now, why do these people conform? Well, they don't know, really. These people believe that their lives are shaped by circumstances, by things that happen to them, by exterior forces. They're outer-directed people. A survey was made one time that covered a lot of men, working men, and these men were asked this question: why do you work? Why do you get up in the morning? 19 out of 20 had no idea. If you ask them, they'll say, everyone goes to work in the morning. And that's the reason they do it, because
Good morning. Good morning. That was Earl Nightingale. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Earl Nightingale. You can find it on YouTube if you've never heard of it. Today, I'm going to cover a topic that I often hear from people who are interested in getting into real estate. And the biggest thing is that, they hear about Section 8 and they hear about the guaranteed money. That's the biggest pro. And when you're getting into real estate, it's very important. I understand that. Because you want to make sure that, particularly if it's your first property, that you're able to cover the mortgage and any of the expenses that go along with that. And so you're kind of blinded to all of the downsides of Section 8. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of the things that you won't find anywhere else. You'll read about the pros and the cons, but no one will really have pictures and background. And if you do decide to do it, then I'll have a few pointers for you as to make it, as profitable as possible within reason here. Now, I want to do a little recap of yesterday. Yesterday was pretty interesting. I talked to Master Kim. He came on the show yesterday morning. I thought that was a very interesting talk. I had to change the title of the show because I thought it was a very interesting talk. One of the things that I found very interesting is that he talked about how a black guy with money, him and his girlfriend, they reached out to Master Kim to buy a business. Maybe there's a gas station or a convenience store. And Master Kim asked him, he said, are you going to be able to work this store day in, day out? Rain, sleet, shine, or snow? And the guy, I think he realized, like, I can't do this. This business will be like handcuffs for me. And he backed out of it. I asked Master Kim, did he end up buying it? He said no. And the reason why he didn't buy it is because he didn't have a network of people, brothers, cousins, uncles. And Master Kim explained it very well as to why many Americans, particularly the Black Americans, because many of these stores are in their neighborhoods. And Master Kim also explained many of these stores in their neighborhoods are predatory. So the fact that they don't buy them and the reason why was very interesting to me. And, he went on to explain that you can look at the stream from yesterday. And I think you'll find that an interesting discussion. Some of the things I didn't want to cover that he had covered before, that he talked about how his mother was beaten severely by a black guy in a liquor store, beauty salon. I can't remember which one of the stores. They've owned several. So this guy is doing very well for himself. And he also talked about his Christian faith and how his Christian faith impacts how he does business. And he contrasted say the Koreans in the way they do business with the Indians, the Perils, he called them. So I thought that was very interesting in that he characterized the Perils as the Indians as people more or less unscrupulous and willing to sell anything in the black neighborhoods to make money. And I'm not blaming them for that. I'm not criticizing them, but I just found it interesting that he pointed it out and he drew a contrast based upon his Christian faith. So that was interesting to me. From that standpoint, I wasn't expecting that. Earlier that day, I caught an Uber, and I think I mentioned that the Uber was driven by a Korean man, and he explained he was a pastor, and a Christian pastor, and he once worked in, he called them Negro neighborhoods, working with Black Christians, I guess, outreach or something like that. So anyway, I thought that was very interesting. And then I joined Ben Thorpe's show yesterday, and he had an interesting proposition for me. He proposed, hey, you should be kind of like I guess I would term it a Grant Cardone or a Robert Kiyosaki. So he had some suggestions as to how he thinks he could really make me rich. I don't know about that. It sounds interesting, though. I do think that I've done Section 8 for many, many years. So for the people that are in it and want to get out and trying to get more information about that, really need more practical information as opposed to just feedback on the internet. I probably do have some solutions for it. I think I do have some solutions for you. And for the people thinking about getting in, kind of like Master Ken explained to the black guy who was looking to buy the gas station, I can really give you the nuts and bolts to make you be able to come to a decision with some understanding. Is this for me or not? It's not for everyone. So anyway, let's jump into the show here. And one more thing. Last night I was on CT's Chaotic Truth. Very interesting. I talked to a 76-year-old man whose daughter was molested by his brother-in-law, and the mother, the wife, didn't tell him for 14 years until the daughter was grown. And so I thought it was a very interesting story. You can check that out probably the last couple of hours on Chaotic Truth. You'll find that. And then one of Chaotic's moderators, she came on and told her story about being molested twice. Once by a husband and wife couple. That Gary get cracked from me says that stuff was wild. Yeah, it was very interesting. That even the story about how the couple that molested her were I can't remember how they both passed, but it's like very karmic in the way that both of them ended up getting their just due. I guess you could say. I want to say she said one of them had spinal meningitis or car crash or something like that. And then there was the guy, the Tracy Jones guy, black guy who had married a black woman. And I'll be fair to you, it seemed like he really wanted to do the right thing. He married the woman. He was in the military, and he just couldn't make any headway with the woman. He was living with the woman in her parents' home, and the parents actually put her out. And he talked about how he saw the father beat the daughter, put his hands on the daughter, as he said, and which probably lessened his inhibitions to, putting his own hands on the woman. And so he talked about how basically she metaphorically destroyed his home in terms of just buying frivolous things, candles, stuff like that. And he went on to talk about how he later married a white woman. And I asked him a funny question. I said, have you beaten the white woman? Have you ever had to lay your hands on the white woman? He says, no. He says, not in the 8 or 9 years that I've been married to her. So I think that, to me, that spoke volumes in that you probably can't beat anyone to get them to do what you want them to do or what you need them to do. Clearly, he's better off by having left the woman, and the beating, was of no consequence or improvement in her behavior. It just made him look angry, and I think it made the people that were listening frown upon him. Again, he got everything he wanted in a better woman, and he described her as being big and fat and a white woman. But, Nevertheless, he doesn't have to beat the white woman, whatever the case may be. And I think that's a better situation than trying to beat someone into whatever you want them to be. But anyway, so let's get into the Section 8 thing. So I went out looking for, someone says, Cube says that, yeah, the stream was over 12 hours. Yeah, that's true. So I went out looking for some Section 8 info. I just thing like I was green into the Section 8 mark, and I said, well, let me go on Reddit and see what can I see. And I just Googled for Section 8, and here's what I found. And you let me know if you can see my screen or not. Make sure you can see my screen. Make sure you can see my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen here. There we go. I'll just put it like this. All right, so take a look at this. So imagine if you were someone new to landlord and you wanted to know the pros and cons of Section 8. And so here's a headline, and this is someone not in Philadelphia. And the headline is, Section 8 new neighbors are a living nightmare. What resources do I have? And this lady goes on to talk about her complaints, kids nonstop running, banging the doors when closing it. I talked about that yesterday. They're loud as hell. And to top it off, they're dirty. I spoke to the landlord and say, this shit is not acceptable. We have no peace. We're full speed looking to sell this house, and this time buy a single house where my closest neighbor is 10 miles away if possible. Obviously, she has to give the disclaimer. Now, obviously, not everyone in Section 8 is bad, but these folks have absolutely zero respect. What legal rights do I have to fix this shit? I'm reading this verbatim. Filing noise complaint and calling the cops can only do so much. I guess I'm fucked. The landlord doesn't care because they are really secured. End of my rent. Well, here's the thing. The landlord probably does care. There's nothing you can do about it. He can't make her turn the music down. How would he know when the music's up? He can't make her tell her kids to stop running around the house. How would he know when they're running around the house? He can't. Banging the doors. Yesterday I showed you. And I have it right here. I haven't even showed it. When you're dealing, and I don't even deal with Section 8 anymore, but if I did, and I didn't at the time, you have to have the best door locks that you can find. Right? You see it here? Like, you have to buy industrial, commercial style lock, because you see it here. The kids are nonstop running, banging the door when closing it. They are loud as hell, and to top it off, they're dirty. Now, if someone would have passed by this apartment that these people are living in, or the house, you probably would see a torn up lawn, cars parked in it. Or if it's apartment building, you're going to see the doors are broken, things like that. And the landlord didn't do any of those things. And I'll explain to you later the consequences of that. But these are the perils that if you own a house in Section 8, you're going to have your neighbors complaining to you. Do you really want that? Maybe a month or so ago, 2 months or so, my business partner called me, and I'm going to see if I can show you pictures of the lady's home. And I've told this story before. The lady had boxes of clothes and everything stacked from floor to ceiling. And there was a burst pipe in her home. The plumber couldn't even get to the burst pipe because there was so much, just shoot the water. Things were stacked floor to ceiling. And I'll find these pictures. So for days, she went without water. Not because of landlord neglect, but because the plumber couldn't even get there to stop the leak. These are the types of things you'll never find that in any Section 8 pro-con articles. I've long said, and I may be rambling here, as a Section 8 landlord, you're almost like a social worker, because many of their inactions in some ways, or their actions, you're going to be responsible for them. If they get some paperwork and you got your copy, they didn't mail their form back in, or if they started working and didn't report that income to Section 8, Section 8 is going to find out. They're going to cut your payment. They're not going to punish the tenant. That's the way it works. They're not going to punish the tenant immediately. They may charge her a little bit every month because they recognize she's poor, but your payment would be impacted immediately. It's a system designed for the government workers and for the tenants. And I'll explain that more about the government workers as we start to talk about inspections. And you'll see kind of how the situation has kind of turned into like the school system, in that it's a system that is designed and play for job preservation. Anyway, here's another commenter, and we're going to get to the pros and cons later. And anyone that wants to get on the panel, feel free. Here's a response. I spent a lot of time, blah, 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 in Section 8 housing. They can't just invite them. Well, first, you should know that there's a limit to occupancy for Section 8. They can't just invite anyone to live with them. See, there and again is someone who, in theory, is correct. But in practicality, how the hell do you regulate that? If the boyfriend comes over every night of the week, he spends the night, but he leaves in the morning, go hang out on the corner, is he living there? It's up for debate. If he doesn't come back over for 3 or 4 days because they broke up, and then they make up, and then he's back over there for a few more days, does he live there? Only family members and caregivers are able to stay in these properties. Now, how the hell did like this? These people really do not, and I don't blame them, but these people do not understand the way of the world. How the hell do you regulate who comes and goes in a home unless you live there? I've had tenants. I had a garage at one of my properties, detached garage, and it was quite a bit of ways off of the property. I show up one day and I see a bunch of cars in the back of my house. This lady had rented my garage, putting me at risk, to a mechanic. She had rented my garage to a mechanic. She was making money. This man was paying, like, he's doing serious work behind my house. I knew nothing about it. Just one day I happened to go around, look around, just happened to see that maybe it was the middle of the day while he's working. And I said, damn, this guy's working like he's running a damn business out of my garage, paying my tenant. If he had gotten hurt, someone had gotten hurt, I could have been in trouble, not her. Do you think Section 8 is going to go back to this lady and say, hey, you were running the business? No, you're not going to do that. That has DC government. Give me a break. They would have sent the inspector out to punish me, not even the mechanic, to punish me for how he disposed of his oil or something. And that is like the immoral, in some ways, unethical behavior that you'll never see in a pros and cons article about getting into the Section 8 business. So let's go back through some more. They all have to be on file. I remember, someone can Google this if you don't believe me, but I was a landlord at the time. DC government had some corruption in their in their housing authority, and all of these inner cities do. So if you want to get into Section 8, be prepared for the ultimate low-down Negro graft. These are oftentimes, they bring in women who are on Section 8, like a workforce housing type engagement, where they bring Section 8 women in and let them work the best of them. So these are maybe your caseworker, a former Section 8 worker. And these are, and their mindset is heavily biased toward the tenants, not you. And that's another thing that you're never going to read that in a pro-con article or book about Section 8. You go into one of these ghetto, hood, housing authority agencies, black, white, indifferent, you're going to be looked at like a white slumlord. Everything is going to be against you in favor of the tenant. Is that the kind of arrangement you want to get into with a government bureaucracy? Because they're paying you, not the tenant. Effectively, they're your client, they're your customer, and the tenant just lives there. So again, you have to think long and hard about these things. Get Crack for me says, did you get an oil recycling disposal fine? No, I didn't, but I could have. And I did get a warning about doing repairs. So one of the homeowners may have told. I mean, there's a school nearby. Maybe someone there reported. And the thing is, there were no fines for the mechanic. Not that I know of. He probably just disappeared when the government showed up. But for me, I get the warnings. I get any potential fines. And again, these people are so unscrupulous that you have to cover every base, and you're not going to be able to cover them. Master Kim spoke about it yesterday about how, the blacks will come in these retail stores and they steal everything that's not locked down. Well, the Section 8 people, they're making plays on every angle that you leave uncovered, every base you leave uncovered. They're stealing it. And so you really, really have to think long and hard. And I really think the Section 8 is only profitable for big landlords. In many cases, big landlords, they say if you own a building, they'll get like a block Section 8 payment for the entire building. And people come and go, it doesn't matter. They're still getting paid because they have allocated the entire building to Section 8. You're not going to get that advantage. So again, it's going to be a big, big disadvantage for a regular small landlord. We have Ryan ask a question. If it's a terrible business, why are people not selling off their units? I'll get to that, Ryan. But the short answer to that, this is what I think. There are 2 or 3 things at play. Let's say if I'm a 60-year-old man, I've inherited a building or a home or whatever. I have low maintenance on the property. Maybe there's no mortgage or small mortgage. You can make a shitload of money off Section 8. It'll work for you. It'll really, really pay off for you. If you have 1 or 2 properties, you don't really have any flex down there with the housing authorities, and most people don't, then your inspections are going to be by the letter, as an example. But let me get back to you said, why are people not selling off their units? Because they're very profitable. I think that there's a lot of people with what I call hot money. You have people with international people. Let's say if you're from China, Russia, Russians own a lot of property in New York. You have Jewish people that own a lot of property in New York. And it can be very profitable in many, many ways. And I'll explain the way that the Jewish people in Crown Heights, well, in Brooklyn, more broadly, take advantage of Section 8. But if you have hot money, you can just buy a bunch of properties. You'll have cash flow coming in. Unbelievable. And if you're willing to be a little unscrupulous, again, as I told you, these organizations, HUD authorities, you can Google them. Just Google HUD, Housing Authority corruption, and you'll see city after city all across America with scandals. And I'll tell you about a scandal that happened with me. Not with me, but it happened while I was a Section 8 landlord. They mysteriously lost all of their paperwork. All of it. And years later, all of their records were wiped out. And then there were allegations that they had committed, that they were fraud. They were giving out apartments to their buddies, their friends, giving out vouchers to their friends and politicians that were connected. And so they just wiped out all of the data. It happens. So if you're connected somehow, and you had 3 or 4 apartments on Section 8, you got a family member living in one, you're not income eligible, you may qualify. They may give you a voucher. So there are a lot of ways that it is very profitable for deep-pocketed people, unscrupulous people, but not for the average hardworking man who's trying to get a property and start out in Section 8. And so I'm going to read a couple more comments, and I'm going to get back into more of why I think Section 8 is a bad deal. I'm going to give you some practical experience. I remember I lived in luxury apartments, and then the new owners started to accept Section 8, holy hell, and went from nice to hell within weeks. Loud music, weed smoke everywhere, and fighting. I've shown you many, many, many text messages about blacks and fighting, oftentimes domestic violence fights, where they fuck and fight and fuck. That's the way it works with them. And they do this inside the home many times. So Oftentimes they're knocking holes in walls, pulling down ceiling fans, anything you can imagine. Now, I'm getting off topic, but I have a million stories. I had a lady once, and again, this is about inspections, and one of the reasons why Section 8 is such a bad deal, I think, for the working class man. So I had a lady, and I've told people that I often I would deliberately fail the initial inspection. What the hell, right? They're going to fail you no matter what. So I just fail and get the report, and then I respond to the report. So they would give you all these little ticky-tacky items on the report of things that you need to address, before they block your payments. And so I'm going to see if I can show you one of these reports, because when you Google, you want to learn about Section 8, here's what a sample report looks like. And, and this is very representative, because I think the federal government drives these reports. So you see inspection type at the top. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. And you guys can chime in if you can see it or not. Oh, let me, all right. So you chime in if you can't see this. Anyway, so you see the inspection type, tenant, owner, blah, blah, blah. So they're going to go room by room. Electricity, windows, ceiling condition. Now, I want to draw your attention to windows. Well, of course, the window works, goes up and down, doesn't fall on anyone. You don't want it to fall on a child who's leaning out the window, screaming to tell their brother to get them an icy from the corner store. So you want them to be able to lean out the window. But the thing is, they're going to tear up your screens. Guaranteed. Every time. They may be smoking cigarettes and poke a little hole in the screen so they can dump the ashes. Blacks oftentimes smoke, but they don't have ashtrays. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. So you're going to have to learn how to fix screens, because you can't keep paying people to fix screens. Now, that's assuming that they don't break your windows, that they don't get to fighting, knock them out. There's someone who doesn't like your tenant comes and knocks the windows out from outside. That shit is happening. It's happened many times. They get to arguing with someone because maybe she's sleeping with his boyfriend or her boyfriend, and then she comes and knocks your windows out. I've had it happen. So now you got to replace windows. You might, depend on how many properties you have, you might have to learn how to put in or repair a window screen. And a lot of times, what I would do is I would put in plexiglass. You can't. It's harder to break that shit. Just put some plexiglass in. This transparent. You don't have a problem with them breaking the glass if they start to breaking your glasses, your windows. So again, if you look every room, they're gonna be looking at electricity. Electricity has here. They're talking about GFI, security, windows, ceiling conditions. Again, I'll tell you, I had an inspection once, and I started off telling you this. A lady, she failed the inspection first time deliberately. The guy came back for the inspection. This is no lie. He walks in, he looks up. She had taken the smoke detector down the night before because she was frying chicken. Now you have to have a smoke detector in the kitchen. You have to. So they failed the inspection, cut my payments off. The smoke detector was sitting right there on top of the refrigerator. And I said, hey, man, let me just put it up. It's here. It was there yesterday when I was here. But this nigger took the damn smoke detector down to fry her chicken. The grease was still there in the pan. He failed me. And that is the part that I'm telling you about, the corruption, the graft. He gets paid more. He justifies his job by failing someone for smoke detector. He's looking out for her safety. So he has no incentive to say, well, man, hey, I know it's just a smoke detector. I don't want to have to come back out here. Yeah, hell, he does. You get to ride around the hood doing nothing, going in women's houses. Some of them he probably trying to sleep with. Beautiful job. Hell yeah, he'll fail you unless you're on the tape. I've had several inspectors that come out and more or less wink their eye, hey, man, you want to pay this bribe or you want to come back out here for the re-inspect. And so I'm going to get back to the pros and cons. Well, let me finish up this document here, and I'm going to give you a few more things that you really have to look out for. You look at the sink faucet P-trap. I've shown you many pictures of how I've had to unclog bathtub drains. You also have to do that with sinks in the kitchen. If you're going to give these people a kitchen, you have to give them a kitchen. So you're gonna have to learn to snake a drain. It's unavoidable. You're gonna have to go in these nasty niggas' houses and snake a drain where there may be roaches crawling all over you. Or you're gonna have to pay a plumber $250 to do it. Are you willing to do that? Before you get into Section 8, are you willing to do that? Or are you willing to sacrifice your profits when they stop up a sink in the kitchen from pouring their fried chicken grease down the drain? They're going to do this once a month. That's $2,400 a year. If you didn't buy that property in cash, that's going to be the bulk of your profit spent on just something as simple as unclogging your drain. Let's go back to something else that I wanted to point out. In the kitchen, you really have to be careful. Kitchens and bathrooms. What I learned that I started doing, the base cabinet where your kitchen sink is, and you can put, say, pots and pans, or your cooking supplies. Some people put the cleaning chemicals. I started nailing it shut because they would just shove things under the kitchen cabinet and knock the pipes loose. And it would leak under there and leak, and it would rot your cabinets. And by the time you figure it out, now you got to replace the entire cabinet, base cabinet, maybe even a couple other cabinets. So these are the type of things that no one's going to tell you. We'll go through this entire list, and no one's going to tell you, hey, nail your kitchen base cabinet shut to keep someone knocking your trap loose and starting to leak up under your kitchen sink. Because if it starts leaking, I guarantee you they will never, Section 8 tenants will never tell you. They may tell you 3 or 4 months later, oh, hey, Mr. John, I forgot it's been leaking up on the kitchen sink for months now. Man, I just forgot to tell you. And now the kitchen cabinet is rotten. You need to do something about this, Mr. John, before it falls on my kids. This is real life stories. I've seen blacks let the shit fall to ruin in their face. Never tell you. And then once it's damn on this last thread, they say, hey, you need to fix this. And that'll cost you more. These are the things no one's going to tell you about it. You're not going to see this in any manual. No one's going to factor this into the cost, the profitability of running a Section 8. It's all going to be hunky-dory. You're going to get your money on time. Money ain't everything. It definitely ain't everything. Ryan says 3/4-inch plywood oak cabinets are what to buy. But again, they're going to rot them all. They're going to, whatever's up under that cabinet, if the water hits it for long enough, they're going to rot them. Water is undefeated. Someone here says, how did they determine the amount of dollars per unit? Is it by square foot, number of rooms? Oh, I'm going to get it. Matter of fact, I'll go there now. Let me see if I can share a picture with you to better hit home the point here. I know I have it, so it's just a matter of me finding this picture. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. So one of the things that I realized early on in Section 8, and it took me a while to really figure out what the hell was going on. And so one of the things is they pay you more or less by bedrooms. That's pretty much the straightforward the way that you're going to be paid. And so from that standpoint, you have to try to get paid as much as you can for your house. So If you have a 4-bedroom, you're going to get whatever the 4-bedroom cost is, payment is. And so what I realize is, and I've talked about this in other streams, is I got rid of the common spaces, dining rooms, living rooms, basements. You got to get paid for those. There's just no other way around it, because someone's going to live there anyway. And let me see if I can show you. Well, you saw the lady in this comment here where she said that other people were living in the home. And she said, it's against the rule, but somehow they're still doing it. Well, if they're going to do that, you might as well get paid for it. If they're going to live in your home and if they're going to live in your home and have their brothers, your sisters, let me share this here. This is not a picture from one of my tenants' homes, but it ain't far off from what I've seen in some of my Section 8 properties. Damn, let me share this picture. So you'll see here, you got people on the floor, people on the couch, people on the floor, people on the couch. I've had Section 8 tenants where I'm getting paid for a 3-bedroom, and they got people sleeping in the living room, people sleeping in the dining room, people sleeping in the basement. And I ain't talking about people, I'm talking about sometimes it'd be a couple in the basement, brother, sister, cousin, uncle, nobody's just on the lease in the living room, dining room. I've had situations where they might have a nigga on the floor. Periodically, while he's temporarily homeless till you can find him a woman to lay up on. And then you got the 3 bedrooms upstairs where, depending on how old they are, it could be son, daughter with their boyfriend, girlfriend, and mama upstairs with her boyfriend. But you only get paid for 3 bedrooms. So the thing you have to do, if you're going to do it, you have to get paid for every square inch of the property, because they're going to destroy every square inch of the property. And once they destroy it, you have the inspections. It's not like a plumbing job where you say, okay, hey, let me call the plumber. He come out and he fix the plumbing job. From where maybe they just blown a pipe out from up on the kitchen sink, or they, a lot of times these women are fat and they plop down on the toilet. It sounds crazy, but they don't just sit on the toilet. They plop down on it. And you got 300 pounds dropping down on the toilet twice a day. Well, shit, if they're pissing, it's a woman, they're plopping down 4 or 5 times a day. Their toilet is going to start rocking. And you're not going to know that toilet's rocking unless she tell you, hey, Mr. John, I've been plopping down on this toilet for a month now, and it's to start rocking. And they say, okay, well, let me go in, get another wax ring, readjust the toilet. Now, basically, when you have to send a plumber out for a toilet, he's going to charge you as if he's replacing the toilet, because if he breaks it, if he tightens that bolt just one turn too tight, he's got to replace the toilet. He's got to go buy you a toilet. So now you got to come out and get this guy. Hey, I need another wax ring. This damn woman to rock the toilet, right off the wax ring. And again, they won't tell you. So now you got a leak. You better hope they don't have a tenant or a room downstairs. Now they're leaking downstairs on the other tenant. I'm going to sell you shock absorbers for the time. It might be a business. It might be a landlord business, put the rails up or something so they can't rock down, and they got to come down slow. I had a tenant, a buddy of mine, and I'm going to get him to join next week. Kind of like landlord horror stories. And he had a tenant. It wasn't even his tenant. And this will show you how destructive that Section 8 tenants can be. He had a regular tenant, not even Section 8. And then there was a Section 8 tenant upstairs. She started frying chicken. That's the food of choice and the style of cooking of choice. And she went to sleep, or he went to sleep. And of course, what happens? Fire starts, smoke detector goes off, sprinklers go off, floods his apartment. You're not going to find that in a Section 8 manual. You're not going to find that in the pros and the cons of renting to Section 8. You're going to have to either get it from someone like me or someone that's going to tell you the real, or you're going to end up getting 3-bedroom voucher payment for 10, 15 people living in your house. And these 10 to 15 people are going to be hard as hell on the house. They're going to be slamming doors. You read the message. They're going to be slamming doors. They're going to be running and kicking and cooking and fighting and fucking. And that's what they do. That is the overwhelming majority of Section 8 tenants, in my experience. Here's another good comment here I want to read. My mother-in-law is going on 30 years in project housing with little to no job history. No job seems to last beyond a few weeks or months. She's got my mother-in-law roped into it too. That's correct. That's correct. Here's someone. Look up the rules on Section 8. They can only be allotted a certain number of people staying there. Family visitors can only stay something like 4 weeks per calendar year. Okay, yeah, good luck trying that. Guests only 2 weeks, I believe. Yeah, good luck trying that too. File a report. Yeah, good luck filing a report. There's some Negroes down at the housing authority that hate your guts because you're a landlord and they think you're getting rich by providing slum housing to these people. Like, these are the things that no one's going to tell you. And so now I want to go to a pros and cons that you're normally going to see on the when people are talking about, hey, should I do Section 8? Should I not do Section 8? Here's what you're going to see. And I just Google, hey, pros and cons of Section 8, right? That's just the article. And look at the debunking the common myth. Section 8 tenants are unreliable and more likely to damage the property. That many Section 8 tenants are responsible, like any tenant group, and individual behavior varies. Landlords still have the right to screen Section 8 tenants, ensuring they choose tenants who meet that criteria. That's true. When I would screen Section 8 tenants, I would want the ones who were past baby making age. And what does that mean? And why did you want the ones that are past baby making age? Because the ones that are baby making age, you're not going to have them very long. As soon as they have a baby, they're up and out. Like, ooh, I can get up out of here, give me a house. And I had a woman, God is my witness. And the boy, Johnny Boy, that was here once, he saw her. He met her many times. She was living in an apartment that I owned. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. I've told you about the people that shit all in the bath, the toilet. So she had filed her paperwork. She was pregnant, and she said, I'm about to get the hell up out of here. You know, I got me a voucher now. I'm about to get me a 4-bedroom voucher. You know, shit, I ain't got to live in this apartment no more. I said, okay, you know, good for you. You know, it's better that you get your house now that you got 4 children. You know, you're going to have your 4th child. You need a house where you have a little bit more room. And, you know, by the fact that she's having a 4th child, Section 8 has rules. Boy, girl can't be in the same room if they're over a certain age, such and such, such and such. So now you may have lived that like that, but the Section 8 people, by law, are not allowed to have a boy and a girl, a teenager, living in the same bedroom. I've seen people in New York live like that. They pay their own rent, but if you're Section 8, you get your own bedroom. Anyway, so I filled out all the paperwork. I can't remember the name of it, but whatever, so she can move out. And she was happy. Or she had found her place she was going to live. She lost the baby. She cried. And I remember talking to her, and I felt sorry. You know, I was young. I was green. I felt sorry for her. She said, I'm going to have to keep staying here. I'm going to have to keep staying here. She didn't give a damn about the baby. The baby, losing the baby did not even come on her mind. It was only that she was going to be able to move up in life, get her a house. She fought her way to a house, and she lost the baby. And she cried and cried. And so that's one of the reasons why I just developed the strategy. Give me a woman who's probably beyond baby making age. Particularly, that she, a woman, she's not that. You definitely don't want an attractive woman. You definitely don't want a young, attractive woman in the baby making range. So those are some advice. Anyone want to join the panel or you have questions? I'm watching the chat, and it looked like EAE said something about Justin Timberlake arrested on Long Island for DUI news. Any other question? Does Section 8 mean 8 people are free? 8 people free sometimes. Sometimes, John really considering Ben's offer. Who said that? Who said that? Get cracked for me. And you know what? Let me put get cracked for me. Get cracked for me, honestly, long before Ben ever pitched it to me. I thought about it. I thought long and hard about it for years. And, and I mentioned this on CT's channel, that one of the things that held me back was, well, early on in my profession, I was a little bit rougher with the people. And so I would have been much more vulnerable to, someone retribution. Time is kind of sailed on that. I don't have to do that as much anymore. So that's what kind of made me feel a little more comfortable doing this. But Ben, I think Ben's idea is great, because again, I've advised a lot of people, and again, I have women business partners. Some of them with Section 8. Let me show you a picture. Shit. Let me show you a picture. Well, let's go back through this Section 8, and then I'm going to show you. Now, you know what? Before I forget, I want to show you a picture of a Section 8 tenant here. And let me see if I can show you a Section 8 house that I went into recently. One of my partners' houses, business partners. And I may not have that picture. I may not have it. But I shared it on one of the other streams here. The lady was a hoarder. And when I tell you hoarder, I mean stuff stacked, floor to ceiling. And one of the reasons why I had to go there was because the next door neighbor, the lady, was complaining that the lady had so many pit bulls that the rats from the dog feces had entered her home and eaten up all of her appliances. That's true. That happens quite a bit. I've had it happen myself, where I had a Hispanic woman that was she had a baby, and she wouldn't throw the diapers out, and a rat, I think the rat bit her baby, but the rat ate up all my appliances, and she ultimately just left the house. And crazy enough, she left it with like some Mexican gangsters. Her boyfriend was like a Mexican gangster. So I walked in the house. This isn't Section 8, but this is just rats and shit like that. I walk in the house. They set up a damn barbershop in my basement. No shit. I mean, like West Coast Hispanic gangsters, with the khaki shirt and the plaid shirt and the Dickies or whatever here those pants they wore. And man, that's the most intimidated I ever been. The blacks didn't really intimidate me, but in terms of like dealing with people, kind of outside my culture, and I didn't know how they would be responding. But I didn't have any problem with them. They were very easy to deal with. Someone said Dickies. Yeah, that's right, Dickies. All right, so let me get back to the pros and cons here. So you see, where did I leave off? Say they're responsible tenants. That's true. Responsible or not, they're not your tenant. Well, they're living in your property, but they don't pay you. So all of the complaints and things like that you're going to have with them, by and large, you're going to have to take it up with the government. Good luck with that. Landlord retain their property rights and responsibilities, including setting the lease terms, maintaining their property, enforcing lease conditions. So there you go. You do have to enforce the lease conditions. But if one of your tenants is destroying the place, the government is not going to do anything about it. At best, they will revoke the person's voucher, but they're not going to put the person out. So now you have a person with no means to find another place, stuck in your home. So enforcing your lease condition could be to your detriment. This is one of the things why I said you can end up a slumlord with Section 8 because telling on the tenant for her behavior could get her thrown off the program. If it doesn't get her evicted. So now you're stuck. Again, you're stuck with someone who's not paying, who's a bad tenant. So you have to just more or less go along and get along. While there is an initial process to become a landlord, including inspections, many landlords find the secure payment stream and tenant support services outweigh the administrative overhead. You notice what they term it. Tenant support services, not landlord support services. That whole damn agency exists to house Black women and to give jobs to Black women. Hence the tenant and not landlord support service. No one's going to tell you that. Your first time walking in there thinking you about to sign your certification voucher and you meet a Black mammy who worked there, who talking ghetto and pigeon to you, talking about how you a slumber and all that kind of shit. You weren't expecting that. And so here are the pros again. Predictable rental income, yeah, sure. For the first 12 months at least, assuming you pass inspection, you will get predictable income. But what they don't mention is the unpredictable expenses. You're going to have expenses like you've never seen before. A competitive advantage of landlords by accepting Section 8 tenants, you'll be opening your rental properties to a whole new market. Yeah, sure, that's true. A thorough tenant screening process, that's bullshit. You know, we've all seen what Section 8 properties look like. No one screened half these people. Reduce vacancy rates, yeah, sure. Right. I'm 100% occupied right now. Not one Section 8 person. Minimal advertising needed, yeah, that's true. Who would advertise to the bottom? Do you see corner stores advertising? No. If people want to buy it, it's the dope. You don't have to advertise the dope to these people. It sells itself. You don't have to advertise it. So here the cons, government bureaucracy, that is very true. You'll have to set a fair market rate of rent. Here's the thing. Oftentimes that rate, in DC, for instance, is very high. There's some government intervention also that's pushing the Section 8 rates much higher. I have a friend of mine, business partner. I think she's pulling in over $4,000 for a house in the ghetto. That's quite a bit of money. That'll make it worth it for some people. Tenants and neighbors may discriminate. Yeah, that's true too. And your property will undergo regular inspection. Yeah, I'm telling you, they'll have quality control inspections, which will be inspections on top of inspections, which means that you're going to have an inspection. And if you're working, you're going to take off work. And then you get off work, but then you fail that inspection, you got to come back for another inspection. Once you pass that one, you may have to have another inspection, like a quality control. They often do that. So I think I've given you a pretty fair view of Section 8. And if there are no questions, I'll look over the comments. And if there are any more comments, if someone says, wow, QC on top of inspection. Yeah, the thing is, again, as I told you, that there are bribes. The people bribe them. So that the QC on top of the inspection is more or less like a randomized quality control inspection. We have Ryan joining here. What's up, Ryan? How's it going?
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning.
Pretty good, man. I was always curious about how Section 8 worked because, you know, my cousin converted a lot of his to Section 8. And he had some units, right? And he said, well, I'm going Section 8 because I'm sick of fighting over money because the tenants didn't want to pay him. This was pre-COVID, of course, because during COVID, you didn't have to pay. And
Right.
I said, dude, they're going to destroy. Like, if you don't own an item and it's free, you don't value it and you tend to destroy it. We know that, right? I'm the same. You know, if somebody gives me something for free, I have no skin in the game, so therefore I'm not going to treat it as well, right?
Right.
So I guess my thing is, you know, my cousin said I'm going all Section 8 because I'm done fooling around with these people and fighting over money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And but he told me, he said, look, I'm doubling up the drywall. He got anytime they'd mess something up, he'd get these 3/4 inch thick plywood cabinets that were built like a tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he literally was just bomb proofing all these places.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you know, which comes at a cost.
Hell yeah.
But he eventually got rid of them though, because he said it's just too much aggravation, you know.
Yeah.
And
you know, go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, go ahead, man. It's cool.
I haven't met one person other than an old black man who owned his properties free and clear. You know, he had no mortgage. I have not met one person who's had a good experience with it in the long term. The first couple years, maybe, but the level of repairs you have to do over and over and over, it's the same shit, and largely it's neglect. It breaks even the most hardiest of landlord. That's what I found. Most people,
you know, I had a couple rentals, so you know, I bought my first house, and it was a HUD, and I mean, it was a disaster house, and you know, but you know, coming from the trailer, I'm a white guy coming from the trailer park, John, so I can fix everything, right?
Yeah.
So I buy this. You know, we were wrenching on stuff when we were 7 years old, you know, fixing our bikes, you know. But so I buy this property, and I was like, all right, well, it didn't have a kitchen in it. I put a kitchen in it. I renovated the place and fixed it up, and then I said, well, I'll just rent it and buy another house, you know. And looking back, I don't even. I mean, I guess I made money, but I didn't have Section 8 move in. But you know, they like at one point I came to the property and we have a flooding issue on the second floor. We don't know where the water's coming from. And sure enough, a 69-cent hose washer cost me probably, you know, a month of my life in renovations. And then because they don't check if it's leaking, right? Mm-hmm. So it destroys the floor, the carpet next to it. The whole area is destroyed due to a 69-cent hose washer that you just a leaky hose washer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, destroyed thousands of dollars. So I guess I made money. I don't know. I mean, the only thing that's good is you can park the money, you can write off, you know, various expenses. One mistake I made is when I bought the property and renovated initially, I didn't save receipts. So I got hit with full capital gains on the sale at the end, right? Years later. Mm-hmm. I couldn't write anything off against that. You see, you know, after putting all this into the house, right? In my own sweat equity and then materials and stuff. So the capital gains hit was pretty heavy, you know? So, but, I don't know. I had another one that worked out a little better, but, I don't know. The whole Section 8 thing, you'd think if it sucks, people would sell the units, get rid of the units. If the city's not going to pay enough, in other words, if the city's not going to pay enough, people would divest, right? People must be making money at it, or you know, they have to be making money at it, or they would divest the units, and then, or unless the city pays more, right?
Yeah, the city. As I tell you, I have a business partner, and she has a property right off of Malcolm and Martin, right here in Southeast.
Okay.
And she's grossing over $4,000 per month, right? And
I mean, that's got to be profitable. And is it owned?
Yeah,
it's profitable. I was going to say,
her mortgage is under $1,000, bro.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's profitable.
I mean, you can even pay a property manager. Like someone told me, with these units, you either got to own 30 of them or more, or you don't even get into it, because otherwise you're fixing people's. You know, I got a leaky toilet, right? Then you're out there in the middle of the night fooling with this so they don't destroy it. And I think that's just all rentals in general, you know. Is there a security deposit when they rent Section 8?
I mean, you can charge whatever you want. Don't mean you're going to have it.
Well, in other words, will the city pay that? Because
Now,
when
hell no. Hell
okay,
no.
so if it gets destroyed, then what's the city say? That they pay for the renovations? I'm sure they don't.
Well, oftentimes, and I'm only speaking about DC, but I'm sure that this happens everywhere. There are agencies that give these people deposits and stuff like that.
Okay.
So you can kind of get away with charging a little bit higher deposit than normal because it's not their money, right?
Yeah.
They don't really
Yeah.
care that
That's right.
what the deposit is because it's not theirs, and so
Yeah.
that again leads you to let me jump to a topic that Ben mentioned to me yesterday, and I want to tell you something that people probably never thought about. Bed bugs.
Yeah, I think I was on a stream when he was talking about that. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Let me tell you, bed bugs can wipe out all of your pocket for years. One instance could totally wipe you out. And the thing is, you can't prevent it. But there are people that exacerbate this, and here's what I mean. I showed you this picture, right? Let me see if I have the picture. Let's see. Look at this. Now, when you think about this,
That's crazy. Looks like Guatemala.
Let me draw the connection to bed bugs for you. That most people will never, ever, ever make the connection. All of these people, when they leave their home, they go in different directions. Some go to work, they catch the bus. Some of them may sleep over their boyfriend's house for a night or two, or lay on the floor, the couch at somebody else's house. And all of those interactions, people coming over from all over the place, sitting on the bus, sleeping on the bus, train, all those interactions open up your chance to get bed bugs. And so you got 100 people coming out of the house all day long. Just one person that had the bed bugs and now is in the house. And that person may not even live there. That's the crazy shit. You could get bed bugs from someone that doesn't even live there when you do it to Section 8 people because they have so many people in and out of their home. On buses, trains, down at the welfare office, at the food stamp office, DMV, all these government agencies where they send in public places, they don't work. It would be different if they were going to work and catching bed bug. And so you know what I would do? I just let them deal with it. Fuck it. Let them motherfuckers bite your ass till you get immune to it. Listen, I tell you the truth. The first time I got bed bugs, I swear to you, Ryan, I felt so sorry for the people. Like, oh my God, let me get this treated. I don't want these niggas to be bit up by bugs and babies and shit.
Yeah.
Spent all the money. You know what they did, man. You know what these niggas did?
They got a small cage and saved some of them and then put them back in the bed when you left.
Even worse, right? If they did that, I'd be saying, hey, man, yeah, some ingenuity. But you know what they did, right?
What's that?
So when you get bed bugs treated, it's a multi-step process. They don't just come out one time, boom, you're done. The bed bugs are gone. They have to come back again, and you have to bag up your clothes. And that's when I realized. And they give you an instruction list. And there's no way that the average welfare tenant would follow those instructions properly from the Terminex inspector, whoever.
Yeah.
Right.
I think there's actually a service now where because I know he kills them. I think there's a truck that pulls up and they throw all the mattresses in the truck and clothing and whatever else, and they heat it up to, I think it's 160 degrees. And then it kills everything, and then they pull it back out. From what I understand, there's a service that deals with them, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that would work if you had a normal containing family, right? That would work. I mean, you got these people are bouncing from room to room. It's like a family. So brother goes in the other brother's room, sister go in the other room.
Yeah.
Added extended family where you may have 20, 30 people in and out of your house on any given day. So where's the source? You can't identify. So I just got to the point. I said, man, okay, let the bed bugs either run their ass out or they gain immunity to it. And it's worked for me. Like any one of them, anytime I've ever gotten bed bugs, I quit treating it after they wasted my money getting it treated and wasted all my money. I said, what the hell with this? And once I started renting rooms, particularly furnished rooms, I haven't had a bed bug issue since. I bet you that the Section 8 tenants, by bringing in those bed bugs 1 or 2 times I had to treat it, wiped out probably a year's worth of profit.
Is it because people don't stay long enough to? Why do you have? In other words, why is it not an issue now? Because it's overnights, just in and out.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't have interaction between rooms. If you're here from Paris,
got it.
You go to your room, you get your bed bugs in your room. Cool. Okay, I deal with it right there. I can isolate people. But if they're from room to room, they have their new boyfriends coming over every week or so. These loose ass women and these dick slinging men, they have women over all the time.
Yeah.
You can't even identify the source of your bed bugs because the constant traffic in your house.
You can't even chase them. Yeah.
So that's why I say you just have to let the bed bugs eat the niggas up, and that's gonna be very hard, man. Because it was hard for me. I had to lose $5,000 trying to be compassionate to these niggas and treat their bed bugs, only to realize that they didn't give a shit.
But you're not doing Section 8 anymore. You're just doing overnight rooms, right?
Yeah, you can see as long as you like, a week, a month, whatever. But you're only going to get a room from me, and it's going to be furnished. And that is the other thing that I think has really saved me from bed bugs. Because if you have someone dragging their ragged ass mattress all over town, and now they're at your house, where has that mattress been? They drag all over the ground.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's been through hell. Yeah, it's been through hell.
Right? That ragged ass, dirty ass mattress, and many things.
So your main clientele is probably ex-cons and halfway situations.
It used to be, not anymore.
Okay.
I don't. And nowadays it's all short-term rentals, and the prices are so expensive that an ex-con, and I mentioned this yesterday, let me see if I have a message for. But no ex-cons these days, unless he's really gotten himself on his feet.
Well, I was watching your one show, and you showed a text about a guy that said he got out of the joint in 22. He was hard on his luck, and you were like, I don't care about that. I've heard that story too many times,
Hey, look at this one. Look at this one right here, right? I don't know if I ever showed this one. I'm pretty sure I showed this one before. Let me see if I get it. Let's see if I can maximize this, right? Okay. Are you able to see this at all?
Nah, if you read it to me, I can blow it up on my screen, maybe.
Let me see.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I got it.
You got it. So don't read there is first thing you're gonna see is the guy works for DoorDash, whatever, and he's fucking and fighting in my house, causing me all kind of problems, and he can't make the connection that my business is impacted by reviews the same way as his DoorDash delivery business.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things, like the lack of leap in logic that, oftentimes, and this is not a Section 8 guy. This is a direct booker Airbnb type guy. So one of the things, and I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, I see once the Wi-Fi got cut off, well, he says this, once the Wi-Fi got cut off, me and other tenants realized the power switch. So his girlfriend probably was mad that the nigga was sitting up in the room playing video games all day. She unplugs the modem and throws it out in the front yard.
Oh, yeah.
Now, listen to this. He says, I was hospitalized on 2/24 and discharged 3/4. That's a long time to be hospitalized. Huh?
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Well, insurance-wise, the copay is going to, which he probably doesn't pay a copay if he's downtrodden, whatever. But that is a long time to be out of work, though, unless you have some kind of other plan, So you said he was a working dude. What you should do is order DoorDash, make sure he does the delivery, and then just trash him on DoorDash to retaliate. Right?
I wish I could make sure he did the delivery. Look, Cube says you just gotta let the bed bugs eat the ninjas up. Whatever. Hey, listen, I tried. I spent more money than they would ever spend to get rid of the bed bugs on their own. And I didn't even bring them in the house, right? I didn't cause them to have bed bugs.
Man, I got to tell you. So I have a friend that works for the Housing Authority of Baltimore City.
Whoa.
They own 20,000+ units. Okay. And so I've been to where they filmed The Wire, right? I've been to some of these places. And it is to see the kids grow up in that, a 5-year-old, right? It's all concrete. It's disgusting, right? These parents should be absolutely ashamed. I would work 11 jobs to get my kids out of there. I would literally kill myself to get my kids out of those situations. And because it's truly sad. It's truly sad. It's a very sad situation.
Why do you think they don't work 11 jobs or whatever the hell they do?
I just think that I blame somewhat. I blame the city. I blame the LGBTQ. I blame the LBJ administration, because the truth of the matter is it's not empowering to just here's the place to stay and here's some money, right? It's not. It doesn't. You don't gain power, right? You lose power. You become pathetic in a way, right? So that's why communism doesn't work, right? So I think it's egregious that they just say, here's money, sit home, and like jobs, pick them up in a truck and say, we're going to go clean the road, whatever it is, right? Because ultimately, you feel like you did something. You get self-esteem from working and accomplishing and doing things. You don't get self-esteem from being a dependent on the state, So I think it's disgusting what's happened. It's terrible. It's terrible. It hurts. It's damaging to the soul more than anything of the people. And I think LBJ is a scumbag because that this occurred under his administration. FDR, John, you know how much money he gave out, physical cash or any of that? You know how much he gave out?
How much? Not
a dime. He gave job opportunities. He gave opportunities to work. Right. LBJ just said, well, we can't have anybody. We got to give money out, So it's terrible. FDR didn't give any money out. He said, we're going to give you opportunity to work for the Tennessee Valley Authority and build bridges, But LBJ,
go ahead.
I was going to say, LBJ said, well, we can't let people be in poverty in this great country. So we're going to pass these laws where there's no requirements here. Right. You don't have to learn skills. You can just sit there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was saying my friend works for public housing and he goes in and fixes things as they break. He said he goes in to a lot of these units and they'll be doing drugs right there. Right. He'll say, OK, listen, I'm not the cops. Please put your drugs away. I'm going to go back outside and I'm going to come back in. But please make sure your drugs are not out anymore. I said, well, why do you do that? He said, because they've actually called people they've called housing authority before and said, hey, your guy was out here and he stole all my drugs. So he says, put your drugs away. I'll be back in a minute. He comes back in and the drugs are hopefully put away or he leaves, But he went to this hearing and he's been there for years, and he does a lot of repairs. He repairs these vertical jobs that are tall buildings, the steam systems for heat and all, a lot of the more industrial stuff. And he said he went to a hearing to where the people in Section 8 public housing got a chance to vent and complain about their stuff being fixed. And he said this woman stands up and says, I know what you all are about. You don't fix stuff when you're supposed to. And I know this because I'm 4th generation public housing. And we have a history of knowing about you people, right? And I'm like, she was like kind of proud of it, She was kind of proud, like I'm 4th generation public housing, and I'm thinking that there's something wrong with that, There's something wrong with it. There's a broken thing there, So I just think it doesn't work, and it damages the soul and the psyche more than anything, They got to change. They got to do something. There has to be more than just here's money and here's a shitty place to live,
Did you hear the story I told about the lady who lost her baby and she was more saddened about losing the baby for the new house.
Yeah, you said that she didn't really care about the kid.
I wouldn't have known. Hey, Brian, since you're from Baltimore, I was watching the Baltimore news, and we're going to end it right here with I want to get your feedback. And I'm not sure if you've heard this or not. Have you heard about this? Let me see if this is the most recent article. I heard about this last night. I want to see if this is the most recent. It may be. Here's a restaurant in Baltimore, Fells Point. Look at all these blacks out here after curfew in Baltimore.
I don't think is there a curfew? I don't think there's a curfew, is there?
Yeah, I think there's a teen curfew. The 6 a.m. shot after 1 a.m. I think there's curfew. Let me search the article. But I want to get your comment about something else. The curfew is not in this article. So he says, here's just, let me just play the video. And I hope this is the one that I saw. Let me know if you can see.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so it's an interesting article about a guy who, I think he's closing. Look at this. Look at this, Ryan.
Oh yeah.
Look at this. Look at this.
The crowds were out again in Fells Point Saturday night. Hundreds of people out with a large Baltimore police presence on hand. This follows a violent Friday night as police say a 16-year-old is shot while involved in a fist fight. The shooting happened not far from a clearly posted curfew sign. Police Commissioner Richard Worley among the officers out on patrol last night, but one frustrated restaurant owner says the police presence doesn't go far enough.
When there's a problem in this building and somebody says, "Can I speak to the manager?" I have to stand there, chin up, chest out with the solution. This city has been asking for the manager for 4 years.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala, the restaurant owner, calling for more from Brandon Scott when it comes to accountability for young people. Fox 25's Vincent Hill sat down with the owner today. He joins us live with his message. Vincent.
Yeah, Mary. Well, he says it comes down.
Let me pause just for 1 second, Ryan. I see someone in the chat. Was it Daniel Nixon? That's right. Yeah, I did. I heard about it. Well, I heard about it before this. I read the article, and maybe I heard about it. I listened to WBAL, which is Baltimore Radio in the morning. I've been watching it. I've been watching it since the Freddie Gray riots. Kind of is proof of that. Let me see if I can show you a picture to show you how long I've been watching the Freddie Gray riots. I may not find it, but anyway, let's see if I can.
That was 2015. Freddie Gray was 2015.
Hey, look at this picture of me, Ryan. Look at this. Check this. Oh, I want you to see this picture. Check this out. Man, this is let's see if this is it. What do you think about that, Ryan?
Let me see. There you go. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. When was this?
Oh shit! Did it? I want to blow it up a little bit. Let's see it.
There you go.
You know what that is, right? You know what that is, right?
Oh, it's the Freddie Gray community. Listen, I was involved in the construction of that. If that's the community center, I got a call. Yeah, they said they're having issues with the concrete, the interface with the floor. We need you to come look at it. And I said, so I went to the address, and I'm thinking, this isn't what? Like you made the Freddie Gray Community Center. Yeah, I went there. If that's what that is, I was there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
I went here. I'm trying to let me see when this picture was taken. This picture, look, you can see it in the corner. You know,
yes, it's probably 2021. No, it would have been like 2018.
Look at it. 2016, man.
I've been
following Baltimore. Again, Daniel Nixon. Yeah, I did see this last night on Ock Nation, so I'm not trying to crib anything he's done. But I've been following Baltimore, as you can see by this picture taken in 2016.
Yeah,
since the riots. I went to school with Marilyn Mosby and her husband Nick. I went to the same school with them. I didn't know them personally, but you're 3 degrees away. And just to see the level of destruction in this city, man, it's kind of interesting to me.
Well, the fact that the community, I'm like, listen, Freddie Gray, it was an unfortunate thing that happened, but he's not a pillar of the community, right? He's not, this guy was not, which I think my brother spent time with him in jail. Okay. So, because my brother was a lifelong criminal. He's dead now, but he was a lifelong criminal. But if my math is right, they were in jail at the same time. And by the way, my brother and him had the same rap sheet length, which was like 5 pages of criminal activity, right? And that's not why you don't name a community center after someone that has that going for him. You know what I mean? So, I don't know what the city's thinking.
I know what they're thinking. You just don't want to say, or you just can't believe what.
Well, let's put it this way. I heard at the mayoral primary, because I actually care about the place. I mean, I'm from there. It's my, I bleed Ravens purple. I literally am sitting there, and I heard the candidates running for mayor, because it's going to be Democrats, right? The one guy I liked was Indian. I don't know his name, but I think he is a district guy now. He was talking about, we have the second largest port on the East Coast. We need to attract major business. All these things that would, a rising tide lifts all ships. He was talking about opportunities. And the other three were talking about systemic racism, right? And I'm thinking, the Indian can rescue this whole place, bringing business opportunities, bringing jobs, bringing all this stuff, right? Nope. They went straight back with Brandon Scott, who's just turned 31 this year, I think. So.
Oh, you talking about Vivek Ramaswamy?
No. It was another dude.
Vinu, whatever.
Something like that. Yeah. He actually.
Yeah.
When I heard him talk, I was like, this guy is offering hope for this place, attracting business. Empowering law enforcement to just. I mean, this is what the city used to do, okay, and it was smart. And all the mayors, right, from Kurt Schmoke, so they were smart with the revenue, right? So in all the areas like Fells Point, any places that had money, Roland Park, okay, they had cops on every corner to protect the tax base. Now, Brandon Scott was like, well, we've got to protect the whole place because it's racist, right? But the city before, and all the black mayors before were like, no, we got to protect the money or it's going to leave the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Scott isn't smart enough to see that. But you can't, the only way the city survives is tax revenue. You can't have businesses leaving. You got to get people to come down there on the weekend and spend money, right? Brandon Scott can't figure that out. He cannot figure that out for the life of him.
Do you think he's interested in that?
I don't know. I don't know whether he knows if he's coming or going. He's clueless. He is absolutely clueless. He's a progressive of progressives, and he's just a radical leftist. Like, he doesn't understand that as the tax base deteriorates. Look, Pratt Street, right? Pratt Street's the main hub. The harbor's gone under Brandon Scott, and Pratt Street businesses are like, listen. They just got together a few months back and said, listen. They went to the city and said, our people are getting mugged. Our people are getting harassed. These things occurred in this garage, gave the city a list and said, we're literally going to pull out of Baltimore if this keeps. And I'm talking Legg Mason, T. Rowe Price, like big money, big employers. Like, these companies have thousands of employees bringing revenue into the city via taxes, right? And at the end of the day, we're leaving unless you put cops in here, like patrol this area, right? So he just don't get it. Like, the city knew before, you protect Maryland, a lot of money. Hopkins, University of Maryland Medical Center, Hopkins, Roland Park's got a lot of money. Down in Fells Point got a lot of money. Like, you protect your money areas so that you keep those areas, cops everywhere, so that at the end of the day, they don't leave, right? Because that's how you're supporting your whole school system and all the other stuff you want, right? Brandon Scott can't figure that out. So
let's look at the rest of this video, see what he says here.
Down to this, the open containers, the unaccompanied minors in the curfew that he says the mayor himself can fix.
The mayor, he
By
isn't
day,
fixing it.
an empty square,
He's not
families
fixing it.
and older couples.
Hell no.
By night, young people, large fights. and bottles of liquor being tossed out by police.
Look at that
I've
shit.
been in business in Fells Point for about 8 years.
Ashish Alfred is a chef who owns several restaurants in Fells Point. He's no stranger to the problems in the area.
Less than 2 years ago, one of my employees was shot leaving work. I was
Yeah,
standing
the
in the
waiter.
square the night that 5 people were shot.
He says
Oh,
the recent
shit.
disturbances have cost him
Shit.
and other business owners money.
I don't know how to deal with my waitress.
Damn, that's the
I
waitress.
don't know how to.
Damn, that's her being dragged like that.
Oh, they go down and harass, and they basically the oh, hold on, if that's right. Now that's a different one. I was talking about the waiter got robbed and killed, but this is different. This is a waitress, it looks like.
Yeah, said she was shot. Oh my man, listen. You know,
Good God.
I mentioned this on Art last night. I think this was last night. Art was talking about this. You know, this is one of the things that really plague these black businesses, or any business really.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to staff that restaurant the next day after one of your employees, a woman, no less? Man, like people would be like, "Hell, I'm not coming back down there anymore." Are you crazy? Hey, Kim, how's it going?
Hi.
Hi, Kim.
Full disclosure, I know Kim. I've known Kim for a very long time. One of my buddies from Brooklyn, New York. What's up, Kim? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I can't complain. What you got to say today, Kim?
This is total madness, but this is what happened in New York. All of the retailers left.
Yeah.
Smash and grabs left and right. No one's doing anything about it. Or they what do they call it? They catch and release because of the bail reform laws. So the retailers are like, fuck this. We're cutting our losses. We're opening our stores online. And it's really a job loss for the people who need it the most. Like you, the three of us, we don't need retail jobs. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I'm good. I will tell you something funny. Google is leaving downtown San Francisco. Listen,
I heard that.
it is 300,000 square foot of rental space. See you later, San Francisco. And Google's like, oh, it's just we don't need the blah blah blah. Nope, they want out. They're going to go out to some county and pay them the tax revenue, and it's going to damage San Francisco worse because they don't want to enforce laws. It's pretty basic, you know. So, you know, John, have you seen anything about Bukele from El Salvador?
The president, right?
Yes.
yeah.
So he took office. It was the worst crime in the world. Okay.
Yeah.
It is now the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. And what I think happens is these places get worse and worse and worse because of liberals.
Of course.
And then you got to have a guy like Bukele that comes, and then it's overly harsh. Because he's put, if you got a gang tattoo in his country, you're going to jail, right? So then you got to be overly harsh to get the place straightened out. Like you'd say he's probably too harsh, right? So that's the unfortunate thing is if it continues to come unwound, the only way to fix it is to be too extreme with punishing people. You know, you got to set examples and things like that. So it's just bad, you know.
It's
just bad.
Deal with the fact that my customers don't feel safe to walk to my restaurant.
But says it's not the loss of the green he's concerned with, but the red.
It's the blood of these children that we're using to ink policy that's going nowhere. It's the blood of these children that is shutting down businesses.
He says he's looking to the mayor for solutions.
I've heard Mr. Mayor say that we can't chastise black kids for being black and outside. I agree.
But that's where the agreement ends.
I don't believe we solve the injustices of this world by telling a generation of children that they're allowed to behave however they want, wherever they want.
Like until the early morning hours, filling the streets and openly drinking.
I believe in our mayor, and I believe he wants to do the things he says he wants to do. All I ask is, why are we shutting the streets down instead of enforcing the law?
Laws many believe could prevent bigger crimes in the area.
I'm a chef, and I know the recipe for bread pudding, mashed potatoes, steak au poivre. I also know the recipe for disaster is a bunch of children being allowed to drink alcohol carry guns, and not being held accountable leads to somebody being
What's wrong with
shot,
that?
somebody dying.
Friday
wrong with
night,
that?
a
That's not the wrong-
16-year-old girl shot during yet another fight in Fells Point.
Good
Ashish,
God.
like many others, left with this question
When is enough enough?
and this message to the mayor if something isn't done.
I've heard the mayor talk about an equitable Baltimore for all of Baltimore. And if there's no Baltimore left, what equitability are we leaving?
Ryan, did you? Ryan, did you see that?
No.
That nigga head cocked back drinking that Hennessy. You see that? I know it's Hennessy. You see that nigga head,
How
right?
do you know it was Hennessy, John? I mean, I'm sure it was, but how do you know? How do you know? It was a Coors
What do
Light.
you
It was
mean?
probably a Coors Light.
That nigga head by the 45-degree angle.
I feel like there needs to be like a delusional checkpoint. Like he's praising the mayor who's also allowing this to happen.
Well, the problem is, what's he going to say to the mayor? The mayor's horrendous, by the way. He's just a complete imbecile. What are you going to say? Like the mayor sucks? He does, but you can't say it, or
But
he's still in begging mode right now to try to get.
hell yeah, he
You know.
as long as he want a restaurant in that nigger ass city, he better shut up. He
Dude,
talking
here's-
about that rule, and that mayor will send every inspector at his disposal.
Look,
Come
here's
down
the,
there and
yeah, they'll have the health department. Well, here's one thing to know about Baltimore. All these cities have these migrants moving in droves. Now, Baltimore is also a sanctuary city, but they don't have any migrants coming here. None of them. One, because there's no jobs. I'm like,
Jobs, and there's no free hotels.
Yeah, there's no services. It's just we don't have any money in the city to do anything, so they don't come here because there's nothing, right? Nobody's going to hire them. That tells you everything there is to know about the mismanagement by Brandon Scott. So,
What is the name of that city in New Jersey? What's the capital of New Jersey?
Newark, Newark, I think.
No, isn't it Trenton?
Oh, Trenton,
No.
yes, yeah. Oh, maybe
Not capital. I think it's Newark.
Newark is one that's it's a war zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a it's either Trenton or Patterson.
I think you're right. It is Trenton.
And so years ago, I read an article, man. This shit blew my mind. That Trenton, in let's say a decade or so, only had one business to open up in like a decade, and it was like a barbershop. Let's go here.
Wow.
What equitability are we leaving for these children?
And of course, Mary, as you know, I was in Fells Point into the early morning hours, and it took BPD several hours to push the crowd out of the area. And meanwhile, many small fights took place right in front of police. For now, we're live in Fells Point. Vincent Hill, Fox 45 News.
Man, you know, the only reason I brought that up, Ryan, because I knew you're in the Baltimore area.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the suburbs. I used to go down to Baltimore on the weekends because they got good restaurants, but it's just not, unless I'm equipped, I don't go down to Baltimore anymore, right? And you know what I'm talking about. So
But you can be armed down there, right? You can carry guns.
you can absolutely. I think that we're now allowed to be armed because they know they got major problems, right? So, that's my guess. But yeah, I don't drive in city limits without being ready. Because I'm scared.
My
You
God.
never know. You get a flat tire on Mount Avenue or Penn Avenue.
Mount Royal, North and Greenmount, baby. North
and Greenmount, yeah. I've heard that so many times on WBL. I feel like I halfway live in Baltimore.
I mean, I still go to church down in Baltimore. In the area where they used to have Memorial Stadium, right? So I go down on the weekend, and it's morning, which everyone in the morning. Everyone's fine. Things get bad in the evening, So, I mean, most of criminals wake up at like 1 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon.
Were you on B Brave's stream when he talked about how cheap it is to live in Baltimore? Some of the houses you can buy for $10,000-$15,000. I know they're all messed up.
Listen,
you can't
John,
buy them.
Yes, but look. So check this out. Two blocks north of Hopkins. Now, the hospital, right?
Mhm.
They've been slowly fixing the place up around Hopkins. You'll see like a block go from terrible to renovated and $500,000 homes, right?
Mm.
And so it's almost block by block. And about 3 blocks north of Hopkins, there's multiple units on the same strip, which probably go for nothing. So you buy them, put a security guard out front, and then renovate them.
Yeah, that. Do you really have a
That's what
guard? Do you see people putting guards outside of properties to get them
I mean,
renovated?
I would. I'd put a guard out there. You're gonna have to factor that into the cost, and then. But I'm telling you, in 10 years, it'll be nice. It'll be great value. You'll have made a lot of money because I saw it happening around Patterson Park, like north of Patterson Park. Now you got about 5 or 6 blocks of expensive units, beautiful homes, by the way, old beautiful homes, and it's marching north towards Hopkins. That whole strip eventually will be renovated. You know,
How much would you buy one for 10,000 in that area?
you can probably get them for less, but I think you put
Would you
60
do
to.
it?
I mean, I have other. I'm not. I don't. You know, I don't. I have other things that I do. You know, but if I had somebody that I knew could execute and get it done, I would invest. I'd furnish a percentage of the money.
I
No
would.
shit.
I would. The reason why is because you spend like 10 grand in like less than a year on bullshit. Like to spend 10 grand on something that has a high potential of appreciating at some point.
I put it into the market. My extra stuff I usually put into the market. You know, my extra money. So I'm concentrated in the market. Recently, I've been thinking about buying land, but land is good because here's the thing.
I agree with that.
I will tell you this much: you don't have to. There's no maintenance on land, right? And it goes up about 5% a year depending on where it is. But you do nothing if you buy a rental or a house, even, and you don't constantly maintain it, you lose. Buy a house and go out there in 30 years and look at it. It's the roof. There's holes in the roof. You know, it's literally got animals living in it. Like you have to maintain houses, right? Yeah. So, but I got a friend of mine that just buys land by the acre. He rents it out to farmers to farm for cash. And then he buys, the Amish call him and say, we want to come cut down some of your trees. Cash only, come cut them. They pick them. 50 grand in cash, right?
Yeah.
Here's cash. They'll mark the trees, and then he's like, and then he just sits on it. And the other thing he's got, John, this is something for you to consider. He's got it all in a corporation, okay, of which he is, and it's an S corp, right? Of which, when he passes away, the new president and VP will be his children. So he's passing the assets without. You see what I'm saying? Which is, you know, there's a look like it's a smart play. You know what I mean? So, good move, you know. But yeah, he's smart. He's like, I just buy land because whenever I had rentals, it's terrible. You got to constantly deal with stupidity from people, you know.
Yeah.
But,
hey, Ryan, any last words here?
Nah, man. I just wanted to say hi, and I heard you. I like your. I subscribed. I've been checking you out because you're talking about a lot of different business ventures, business opportunities, things like that. So, and I've always been curious about how Section 8 works, how to make money at it. But after my cousin converted his unit, so. But
now you can definitely do it, man. You know, it just takes, you know, being very strategic, as you say, like building damn near a bomb shelter.
What about REITs? REITs. What do you think about them?
You know, Ryan, this is what I say to you. I had a buddy that worked at Franklin Templeton, one of those funds up in hold on, someone is saying I didn't answer the question. What question was that? Give me 1 second. But no, I was going to say, Ryan. What church do you go to, Ryan? Orthodox, Catholic, Baptist? Is it a black church?
It's a multicultural church. It's non-denominational.
I'm not surprised at that, Ryan.
It's just a Bible church, really. So
right?
It's a multicultural church, though. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I mean, it's a good. I feel it there. You know what I mean? So I like it. You know,
you get the Holy Ghost in there. You get the Holy Ghost in there, Ryan?
I mean, I'm not. Look, I'm white. you know how that we're very conservative with being in church. You know what I mean? but some people do. You know, some people do. And by the way,
they get the Holy Wait a minute, they get the Holy Ghost in your church.
Well, they don't. Let's just say that typically, black folks in church are a little bit more demonstrative.
You use big words, right?
Far better musically, by the way. Far better musically. Like, the talent in this church is beyond. You don't even know, right? Like, I could never go back to a white church and hear the choir and be like, it sucks, right? So, but they're just more movement, more, more testament.
Do they get the dancing? Do the blacks get the dancing in your church?
It's not a Southern Baptist church. They're still somewhat conservative, but there's no running up and down the aisles, like that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, but
have you ever been to a church? Have you ever been to a church where you run up and down the aisle?
No, but I know I've seen on TV where there's a lot more speaking out while the preacher's speaking. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm probably seen as just a uptight white guy. You know what I mean? So I don't put my hands up ever. I don't, oh no. I don't do that.
Do you at least clap? Do you clap, right?
I mean, it's at times. I try to sing along. I'm terrible. I can't do it. But but I will tell you, listen, the music is incredible, right? Like, incredible. Like, you can't, if you go to an all-white church, look, I used to go to a church at my dad's church, and they let him in the choir. I'm like, Dad, you suck at singing. You're the worst singer I've ever heard. They let him in the choir because he wanted to be in the choir. And I was like, I feel like, but this church, phenomenal music,
Is it a black choir? Is it large number of black?
The best, let's put it this way. Like, there's a white guitarist, right? Which I'm not even down with, like, guitar in church. Like, I was raised with, this was a satanic instrument, right? So, and by the way, one thing it is disappointing about all church is the dress code is now completely abandoned. I see people showing up and there's no, at least wear a button down shirt. Don't wear your Ravens. Don't wear a Raven shirt in here. Why are you wearing a jersey? Are you going to play football? Yeah. Like, I see people dress and I'm like, at least look presentable. Like you're going to work or something. So, but, I don't know. It's a good message. I like the minister. I like, I don't know. I like it. It's an enjoyable thing for me. So I feel it there. I feel somewhat convicted there, but I'm not overly religious, but I do believe in the Christian church because it helped build the Western world. And it's a good tradition. Like, if we don't participate, then it'll fade from the earth. It'll be gone forever. I don't know if that's good.
You have to preserve things. That's for sure. You have to conserve things.
Yeah. I want to keep it around for, so but yeah, I like it. It's good. It's a good thing for me. So, but was that the question they asked, by the way, John? What about
I was asking, do y'all have a black choir on certain Sundays or something?
No, it's not. No, but like, so there's a band and they'll have different, the one lead singer is black lady, but she's got pipes, dude. She can lay it down. It's
Did she drag the song out? Did she drag the song? You know how the black women did drag the song out? You like that?
Look, man, she can lay it down, dude. She is a phenomenal singer. Like, she's incredible. So, but anyway, I don't, but so then, like, the white guitarist, he's just real stiff. He's doing this. The bassist is black. He's kind of stiff too, though. There's a guy. It's like a rock concert in there, But which it is. I'm adjusting to that. Like, that's just weird to me, I'm not used to. I'm used to a choir, an organ. I was raised Anglican in the Anglican church, which is super stiff. It's like Catholic once removed. So very, just a very stiff group. So also they talk about hell at least a third of the time, how we're going to burn in hell. But, so now this is not it, but they're good people. So I like it.
Well, I think it's been a pretty good chat, Ryan. Kim, any last words here?
I was just thinking about when what's the guy's name who's on with you right now?
Ryan.
Yeah, John, you got to change the screen. I can't see Kim at all. Oh, there she is. Hold on. Okay. That was me. That was my fault.
Okay, go right ahead.
Hi, Kim.
I was talking about like 10 years from now, what the real estate would look like in that specific area in Baltimore. It just made me think about like what the heck is entrepreneurship going to look like in 10 years, especially when we have a future generation who are going without consequences. They have no respect for small business when that might be the way to wealth for many of them, or the way to just have a stable life for many of them, since education is not happening. I don't know.
I think they should take kids that have no aptitude for higher learning. I was one of them, by the way, but I knew how to build. I could put things together and use my hands to work, right? But I didn't want to sit in a classroom. And I think they should put them into the trades because they can renovate these houses and they can fix stuff. They can work on stuff. Like they tell all these kids they got to go to college. Like, you need to go to college. Well,
that's what President Trump was working on before they stole his votes.
Yeah.
That every single high school in the U.S. made vocations mandatory, and that students could leave with some trade skills.
I took wood shop in school. I mean, they still had wood shop, right? But I learned mechanically, if you put this screw in this and this is here, like I already kind of knew it, right? Just because, I worked on my bike when I was a kid, all this stuff. But like that applies to your house. It's the same construction process, right? So, but I don't know why they don't have shop. They don't have any of that anymore. They tell these kids, you got to go to take physics in college, right? I couldn't even sit in a classroom. Like, what do you? So, shop was great for me, and I learned, and then I eventually became a bricklayer, right? So, which I did for several years.
Big business, and now it's political. But we used to do home economics. They don't have that anymore either.
Yeah, home ec's gone too. I don't. What classes are left? I don't know what's left. So computers, I know they make them do that in like second grade, and I don't know.
It's
Go ahead.
High school, or to get them into something where they're going to get caught up in loans that they'll probably never be able to pay back.
I agree. And I'm going to tell you right now, you want to be an electrician? I got an electrician maybe about, I do some of the stuff at my house, but I had to do something with the panel. I think he hit me it was about 3 hours. I think he hit me for about $480. Okay. Yeah. I don't mean 480 volts. I mean, $480, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, 480, you didn't do anything. You know what I mean? He just showed up for 3 hours and it was almost $500, right? And this guy owned his own business. He wasn't a company. Mm-hmm. I said, what? I said, how much? He says, well, I usually charge, $150 an hour or so, in that range. I'm like, so why wouldn't you go to trade school and be an electrician, right? You don't take out a loan. You go work for an electrical contractor. They pay for the electrical school, which is at night. You work during the day. And then you get your master's and they're making $50 an hour on average, right? This guy on the sides charges $150 an hour for just, rewiring things. I
think the is that we're approaching, and I don't know if it has to do with COVID or what, but we're approaching a generation of people who just don't want to work anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I'll end it on this note. I think that the entryway to careers has kind of reverted back to the norm for many careers. I've given the story many times. I had a plumber come over. He had his son with him in the middle of the day. The kid didn't want to go to school. Now he's a foreman. I don't know if he graduated high school. I know he didn't go to college, but he did become a foreman.
Yeah. He'll probably make more money than he ever would have.
Right. He didn't go to trade school. His daughter became an electrician. She's not an electrician. She may work at an electrician company now where she may estimate. I don't know what she does. But again, no school beyond high school. But whenever I talk to the blacks, their child could be expressing some interest and some competency, say cutting hair or whatever. And they will be so rigid in that child needs to continue on to school. He needs to go to more and more school. And a child could lose interest in what he may be good at because you're forcing him to go down the road of school.
I see what you're saying.
Imagine if LeBron James had been forced to go to college for 3 years. Right?
It's funny to think about, isn't it?
He may have broken his leg.
Yeah.
He may have just missed his time.
Yeah.
Not to say he wouldn't have been as good, but he may have just missed his time. Right? Anything could be.
Yeah, that's true.
But he showed that he was good enough. And his family, I think they made the right decision. And what's interesting, at the time, I didn't agree with going straight from high school to college. I thought you should go to college.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was propaganda that the league, the NFL, NBA, the agents, the liberal news were paid to tell people that's a bad idea. He's stupid. He's immature. He's things like that. Because they wanted to make money off him. The NCAA wants to make money off of these kids.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right. And that is just one way that I think people are forced to go to college. And clearly it's about the money. Well, if you factor in just all these jobs and things like that, Kim, she works in the school profession. She knows what it's all about. It's about the money, right? The dumber they are, the more money comes into the school system.
That's right.
And so I think that the school system have just moved away from teaching or training children to be productive in the workforce. The ship is sailed on I think on their value, their utility. But anyway, I think it's been a great chat. I want to respond to this question before we get out of here. REITs, good question. I quit investing in the stock market years ago. I just don't trust it. I had a friend, he worked at Templeton or somewhere in Boston. I can't remember the name of the fund. And when he told me how they calculated the net asset values, it just made me have more questions, if that makes sense. And I know REITs are like stocks or like portfolio, like a mutual fund, things like that. Mm-hmm. I'm just hesitant to trust it, to be honest with you. I'd rather buy physical assets. Hell, I'd rather buy a tractor. Than some paper.
Well, if you look at the price earnings ratios on some of these stocks, I'm like, it's like, so you're telling me you only earn X, but the price of the stock is this? Like what? So, the PE ratios are so distorted now, John, and the NAV values are jacked up too. Like if you look at what the company's worth, that there's no assets. There's no assets at Google, right? Like what do they own? So they don't own anything, but they're still making money, and it's actually when they don't have a lot of underlying assets, it's actually more profitable, right? Because you don't have to have your money tied up. That's the idea anyway. But anyway, that is we won't breach that. We won't breach that.
Next time, Get Crack for me says AI going to replace a lot of low-level white-collar jobs. I have some thoughts on that, and I want to do a stream about that. How it pertains to my rental guests who are at the low level. But I do think it's going to affect like the higher level blue collar jobs, like roofers and things like that. Well, not roofers. I'm sorry. I was thinking about migration. But yeah, AI, I have some opinions about that, particularly since I was a software developer for so long.
How can you trust it? I can't. I think it's going to replace jobs of coders.
Yeah,
it can write code. It can write code. So why, I don't know.
That'll be interesting. And I'll talk about that. I'll give my thoughts on that. And that'll be the topic.
Yeah, do a stream on that one, John. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll do that. Yeah. I'll definitely do that. All right.
It's good meeting you, Kim. And good catching up.
Yeah. I'll be back.
He's been on PT's panel before.
Oh, okay. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Until next time, guys.
All right, John. All right.
Hey, hit the like button, by the way, before you head out the door.
Done. Okay. See y'all. All right. Bye.